Teenagers. Everyone knows the fear that one day they'll do something really stupid.
I was about 14 years of age and I was going through a stage where I just wanted to steal cars. I got a bit faster as I was driving and started to fall asleep at the wheel. Then all of a sudden, bang, this big crash, I'd smashed into a parked car.
How can modern teenagers be so thoughtless, so out of control?
Teenagers are often impulsive, they're risk takers.
Probably by the end of adolescence, every single adolescent will have done at least one thing against the law.
We've always blamed erupting hormones, but could it have more to do with eruptions inside the adolescent brain? Astonishing new discoveries may not only explain teen behaviour, they challenge our very notion of what age a child becomes an adult.
I can now just think, what was I thinking? What was going on?
It's too late to know what young Monica was thinking. But Quinn, at 16, is a similar age and a typical teen. His hobbies are making clay animations and skateboarding. But unlike most teenagers, Quinn is about to have his head examined, here at Melbourne's Brain Research Institute.
Quinn, we're just going to start scanning now. Thanks.
It was always believed the brain was fully developed by age 12, but then these MRI scans were invented. When scientists like Professor Christos Pantelis peered inside the teen brain, they were amazed.
What we've been interested in is the grey matter, where all the nerve cells are. What we've found, to our surprise, is that between the age of 12 and young adulthood, there's a loss of this grey matter. It's losing perhaps 30,000 connections per second. Per second.
Scientists were witnessing an unexpected frenzy of brain remodelling. From age 12, the grey matter, the thinking part, is being pruned, keeping only the most efficient connections. Meanwhile, whole brain sections are being coated in a white substance called myelin. This white matter speeds up nerve conductance 100-fold, creating fast brain superhighways.
Adolescence is a time when the brain is sculpted. Basically, inside every adolescent brain there is an adult brain. You've just got to find it.
But what's all this doing to teenage thinking? That's what we're about to find out as Quinn's dad Andrew goes head-to-head with his son in the MRI.
OK, Andrew, we're going to start the functional task now.
Dr. Stephen Wood is testing the brain's ability to control impulses. Quinn and Andrew's impulse is to press the button that lines up with the odd number out. But they must resist and press a different button.
OK then, so time to tell you the results. Quinn, you're 16, you're quite a bright kid.
Yeah.
But even so, I'm afraid your reaction time was quite a lot slower than your dad's. You also made a heap more errors. You made 9 errors and your dad didn't make any at all.
But there's worse news for Quinn.
So if we then look and see how your brains were working while you were doing the task, Andrew, you were only activating one side of your brain, whereas Quinn here, you're actually having to activate both sides of the brain. You're still doing it slowly.
Not only was Quinn far less able to stop himself making errors, he needed twice as much brain to do worse. Are you surprised?
Yeah, I am actually, because I thought I was cleverer than my dad.
Tests like this have revealed brain remodelling occurs in a slow wave from back to front. Last completed is the prefrontal lobe, in charge of planning and impulse control.
You could call it the braking system of the brain, and that is one of the key components that is developing over this period.
But while Quinn's brain brakes aren't yet developed, his accelerator has already been pushed to full throttle by puberty.
It's a thrill-seeking brain, it's a novelty-seeking brain, very much engaged in looking for new sensations.
Hormones are likely to be important. The chemicals in the brain are likely to be important.
Change my life. The timing explains an awful lot of teen behaviour, and it's not all bad news. Around puberty, a window of brain sculpting opens in an atmosphere of novelty seeking. It allows the teen brain to take directions their parents never imagined, before the brakes of adult impulse control are applied.
Adolescence is a time when young people can be most creative. They experiment, they learn new things. It's a time of great learning.
Evolution seems to drive adolescent behaviour as an expansionary trait. In other words, you don't want to end up being stuck with your parents all your life.
How cool was that? Now watch this.
But it also explains why adolescence is a time of maximum risk. Monica had turned 18 when, on a sudden whim, she stole another car.
You are my voodoo child, my voodoo child.
Things feel great. Your heart's pumping. When you're flying, you can get that much speed that you're airborne, and that is the best feeling.
What has stunned scientists most is just how long the development of the brain's behaviour brakes takes.
You know, I didn't think about consequence, didn't think about anything. I just didn't want to walk at the time.
Monica is living proof it doesn't stop tidily at the legal age of adulthood.
Well, initial expectations were that the teenage remodelling might stop at 18, 19, maybe 20. And now, just looking at the brain imaging and looking at the cognitive development, probably 25.
And that discovery, that teen brain development continues into our mid-20s, has enormous ramifications, not least for the criminal justice system. Our prisons are full of people aged 18 to 25. This small age group accounts for nearly a quarter of all inmates. After a 2-day joyride, Monica joined them. It could have been worse. She could easily have killed someone. That's what happened to this young man.
I arrived at the park with my car. Yeah, there was a group of cars. They're all on P-platers, doing donuts and stuff. And then I started going a bit stupid, just doing handbrake turns and reverse flicks. All of a sudden the car rolled. Danny had his head out the window yelling and saying he didn't have a seatbelt on. So you can imagine what happened and yeah.
It was a tragic act of immaturity. But Simon had turned 18. Legally, he was an adult.
I just have no tears left now. I used to cry every night. Mum used to be there for me and, we used to cry together.
The New South Wales law was rigid. Simon was sent to an adult prison.
Regrettably, I've seen a number of those kinds of cases over the years. They're often placed in environments which there are highly entrenched and antisocial offenders, and they're being taught how to be brutal. And they're still in a vulnerable stage for their own learning. I've seen kids who are shaking, white and shaking with absolute fear because of the experiences they'd had in jail. Just horrendous. You would not wish it upon even your enemy's son.
Dr. Chris Lennings is a forensic psychologist specialising in juveniles. He knows how different an adult prison is to a juvenile detention centre like this one.
I mean, it's not the world's best place to be, but if you manage to get into a juvenile detention centre, you're still going to have opportunities for education, for rehabilitation. You have access to life skills that you won't get if you were to go into, for instance, the adult custodial system in the same way.
Yet the new brain findings beg the question, should 18 to 25-year-olds be treated as fully culpable adults?
Their moral code is very well developed by 18. People know what's right and wrong. That's not the issue. But they do sometimes have problems controlling their behaviour.
It's so easy, really, to do something stupid that ends up by derailing and taking away your future.
But in Simon's case, something very unusual happened. A lucky break. His local community successfully lobbied for a transfer to juvenile detention by special ministerial authority. Chris Lennings now believes there must be a better way, a new separate tier to the prison system specifically for 18 to 25s. Society may say 18 is the age of adulthood. Perhaps it's time to realise the brain doesn't know that.
So if we say adolescence starts at 12, if you're still developing into your 20s, 18 is almost in the middle of that.
These are still young people who are developing their skills. They've got a future, and we've got to be very careful about not taking their future away.
Monica, at 24, is now reaching brain maturity. She got out of jail 2 years ago and is training to be a youth worker. Nowadays, she finds it hard to believe she was ever that stupid.
And I think to myself, oh, thank God I didn't kill myself. Thank God I didn't kill somebody that was standing at the tram stop waiting for a tram that day. I'm very lucky.